Statistics say that there are 52% of people that actually work are burnt out of their jobs.
Dread every morning waking up. I become tearful. So,
Mhm.
most of my mornings I would wake up and I would just start crying out of nowhere and just not looking forward to the day. You were on 24/7 once you were at the job. So it was kind of like those thoughts of saying like once my day starts, it's
Mhm.
not going to end until I come home. Lack of support, right? I think was a big piece of it. And
You were really already tired before you even went to the job.
I had started to notice a little bit more of that burnout. My
Mhm.
heart wasn't in it as much. How long can you last before a change needs to be made and like a change that I can have control over versus a change that's forced upon me?
Explain what are some of the things that you were experiencing every day on your job that's led to this burnout?
I was responsible for 80 plus people in private practice in order to kind of transition out from community mental health.
It really kind of feels like, again, coming from the medical field in audience, not just the medical field. I mean, this could be any and everywhere that you work. Sometimes it's so much paperwork and it's so much dot this I, cross this T. You have to make sure you do that. But then when am I going to help the patient?
Mhm.
When am I going to be there for the patient? How can I be there for the patient? And when you touch here and there and you're not really given 100%, then you kind of feel like, because medical, it's just in us, it's just a part of us that we're not really given what we should, to the patient and what they really need.
They were already burnt out. A lot of dissociation, so a lot of kind of just feeling disconnected, just not really being mindful throughout my day. My sleep suffered, stressed about not having everything caught up or, just that emotional mental drain of the day, unhealthy eating habits and, the sleeping too much, sleeping too little, right? So it mirrors depression very closely. Feelings of like hopelessness, the feelings of that lack of loss of interest in things that you used to enjoy, spiral again into another round of tears, another round of I can't do another day of this. So feeling like you truly like can't go on.
You just kind of felt incompetent everywhere because all the pieces just weren't, no fitting together. I just wasn't able to think. I wasn't
Mhm.
able to think things through and, think logically, and I was forgetting stuff. I couldn't separate it from work and home. I just couldn't separate it.
Because that negative self-talk really revs up and says that we're not doing enough, says that, I'm failing in all of the things, or, I need to be 10 steps ahead of where I'm at currently. Really, I do have tendency to beat myself up and look back, take a step back and look at how far you've come, all the things you've accomplished, and not even just accomplishments career-wise, but just, raising a child and, doing it with a smile and whatever it looks like to you. Look at how many people love you and just going around and really appreciating the things that you do have. It reminds you, right? It reminds you like, okay, I do have things to be grateful for. I do have things that I'm blessed to say that I have. And it may be hard now, but this is all just those warning signs that change has to be made. I left right before the pandemic started. Having my child really put things into perspective of like, we have to do things for them, right? We have to, and leaving places like that, take care of ourselves so that we can take care of our children and take care of our family.
And that's really disheartening too, when you work at jobs like that you don't feel appreciated, that you don't feel listened to.
And it was just kind of at a hole of, I was just sad that our voices and our concerns weren't heard or they weren't put into practice. And then of course change is scary and it's nerve-wracking. But again that change is scary, right? Navigating, again managing your time, managing all of the different pieces. But I knew that I would have a lot more support. I knew that it would be something that again I was in more control over, because if I needed to take a day off, I could, and I wouldn't, no one would give me, any sort of backlash for that or any
Yes.
side eye. So that in itself was worth the exchange.
Burnout can be disappointing. So if you had to name some of the emotions, some of the feelings that you actually went through during this process, what would some of those adjectives be?
Overwhelmed, exhausted, depleted, feeling anxious, feeling depressed, um, feeling hopeless, feeling like there's just no way out, right? Like that cycle, you just can't see out of that cycle. Um, I think also like almost like a numbness, right? That detachment from just your own personal being, your environment, your quality of work, right? So just kind of you're just kind of existing, you're just there, but
Yes.
there's no life to you. I think towards the end it was just kind of like those countless tears and knowing that I had my partner's support in making that transition. That self-talk isn't always believable, right? When we're
Yes.
in a headspace that's very negative or
Yes.
very down or very hard on ourselves, it's like, I don't know, do I really believe that? But when I hear it from him, I know that he's speaking from his heart. And so I have that sometimes to lean on and just kind of that support. I think I was even in therapy at that time before leaving the job. And again, I still wasn't able to kind of work through it. And so again, it was just so many different ways of like, okay, what can I do? And I think also like that self-talk really started to kind of become my own words as well, right? Those reminders of self. I was able to improve my sleep. I was able to listen to like podcasts and, some self-help versus like just sleeping until the last possible minute, getting ready
Right.
as quickly as possible and ending up at the job. Like I didn't create a
Yeah.
lot of buffer time in between. But I think that you felt human again, right? Like you felt like there was something to be excited for. My days weren't nearly as long as what they were when I was working in outpatient or as packed, the way that they were. And again, it still allowed flexibility. You were able to come alive. And so you got to see your personality come back.
And then also just knowing that you're worth it,
Mhm.
that you're definitely worth it. And you're exactly right. You can encourage yourself over and over and over again, but you always need that person to say, hey, you're going to make it. And, audience, that's the type of people we need to surround ourselves with that's going to support us, that's going to understand us, that's going to stand by us. We need that. We need to hear that. We need that mentally to come into our psyche. Affirmations are amazing. You can post them on your refrigerator, you can listen to them, or just have your own to remind yourself every day. And that is really the foundation of self-care, is
Mhm.
knowing that you're worth it, going out there, making that decision and finding you and finding a better place and a place where you can be you and actually flourish.
And that change doesn't it most likely won't happen overnight. Those symptoms won't happen overnight. It's that gradual buildup, and you gotta kinda build self-trust, again, within yourself of like, "Okay, do I really trust my thoughts? Do I, believe that?" But the more you repeat it, the more that you make a plan to create change, and little by little, you make a life that you want.
Tell us what you know that you know this day.
I know that I'm not alone. And I think the more that we talk about burnout, the more that we talk about mental health, the more that we surround ourselves, like you said earlier, with people who love you and support you and believe in you, that you remind yourself that you're not alone in whatever struggle you're going through. But you're not alone. I promise you, you're not the first person to go through this, and you won't be the last.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I also want to remind the audience that I am a life coach and my first hour is totally 100% free. So if you want to call somebody and just talk, if you want to sit there for an hour and cry, if you want to curse, if you just want to be silent, whatever you need, call me. Call me if you need encouragement. I don't have to know you to encourage you and to remind you what an amazing person you are and that you're going to make it and that you're worth it. Just remember Karen's Coaching Corner. Nina, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Take
Audience, I'll
care.
see you next Saturday. Bye bye.
Thank you.